Action, star 572 hash. Now the code action, star 572 hash. On the go. Open accounts with Action to save for tomorrow. There's an easy way to bag every day. Hey, star 572 hash. Now here we go. I know get to a holla. Oh, it's a life. Oh, money on the go. Star 572 hash. Oh, get a life. Oh, but the show is bright. Star 572 hash. Send money to family and friends and business partners on top your phone. Wherever you are, whatever you do, hey, pay your bills and recharge
Jiri
your
ni
phone.
Action Bank we kugo phone. Piano star 572 hash.
Yalla na kauna Allah ka tura mu kudi akan Asia Bank dina.
Má ṣe ìyọnu láti lọ sí ilé ìfowópamọ́ ìwọ ṣáà ti tẹ star 572 hash lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ rẹ.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me very loud and clear. Thanks for joining us. We started to spend about 5-10 minutes to allow some of our customers and other stakeholders to join. If you could hear me, please leave a message in the chat box. Thank you, Ezekwa. I think I can see some comments already. Thank you very much, Ifeanyi. Thank you so much. So once again, I would like to welcome each and every one of you to another episode of the Action Connect series, a virtual platform where we come together with stakeholders to deliberate and share information. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Adefisaya Kisanya. I head the marketing communications team at Action Microfinance Bank, and we're really glad that you're able to join us today. So today we will be focusing on SME and cyber threats and what you can do to safeguard your business and then also your private accounts as well. Okay, thank you, Andrew. I'm also seeing some of the comments. I would get back to some of the comments and suggestions and information during the Q&A session. I just wanted to start the session now. I see Ezegu Kasema, how do I download the app, please? You go to the Play Store and then you just click on Action, new Action mobile app, and then you should be able to download it from that point. Thank you all for joining us. Before I call on the MD CEO to take his opening remarks, I'd like to quickly just set some housekeeping rules. We would go into the session very quickly because we do not want to waste any other time. And then we'll encourage you to please hold your comments, questions, and recommendations till the Q&A session so we can take everything together. We have the chat box open and then we also have the Q&A box open. So feel free to use any of those channels to send us your feedback, comments, and suggestions as well. If you would like to speak, there is a button below where you can speak. You go down, I think is the raise hand, just click on it, and of course click the waving hand, and then we can see that you would like to speak, and then we can then go ahead to unmute you. And then also to ensure that this session is very interactive and we have your feedback real time, we would be sharing some poll questions to find out if the session is going according to plan or is meeting some of your set objectives and what you think that we can do better, even during the course of the session. So please, would appreciate if you could respond to some of those. So can I have the first poll question up before the MD's opening remarks, please? So there are just a few questions just to get to know you, who your business, what your business is, the sector of the business. This provides the opportunity for the facilitator to be able to tailor some of these lessons and experience and information to some of those industries. So that's why I want to know what sector you currently operate and then how you heard about the seminar as well. Thank you very much. So today we have the MD CEO in person of Mr. Taiwo Joda hosting, and of course we have Kelly Ojude, the cybersecurity manager at EY, who would also be driving the conversation. Without further ado, I'd like to warmly welcome the MD CEO, Mr. Taiwo Joda, as he gives us his opening remarks. Thank you.
Good morning, Fisai, and thank you very much. So our very dear and amazing customers, I say thank you for joining today's webinar. We're looking at the SMEs and cyber threats. How do we fight and how do we manage our businesses in such a way that we don't lose money to cyber criminals who are forever prowling around looking for how to make quick cash. Before I say a few things, I'd like to warmly welcome Kelly Ojude. Kelly is a subject matter expert and from Ernst & Young. And we're very glad you're able to make it today to enlighten us and to guide us. And again, I'll say thank you to your colleague, Zoe Mabo. Why the subject of cyber threats? How does it even affect SMEs to start with? Why should you be worried about cyber threats? I'll say a few things in 5 minutes, and then I'll allow Kelly, the subject matter expert, to crack this further. But a few thoughts for us. Do we know that financial losses from cyber criminals or from cyber crime is more than the total losses of all illegal trades, especially illegal drugs? So people, cyber criminals, are today making more money from attacking and hacking systems, stealing identity, stealing money from unsuspected victims' accounts, and they're making more money than having to carry cocaine and sell every other hard drugs. So they don't need to expose themselves to the airport authority. They only need to sit in the comfort of their home to use their laptop or any form of technology that they've been able to acquire to create data breaches and do a lot of havoc on the web. And number two thing is, it's very important to also know that beyond the money that you lose, beyond the financial losses, it can create a reputational damage to your business as an SME. So you take your little business and everybody knows that, oh, it's not safe to deal with you because the identity of anybody that deals with you, any customer that deals with you, can easily be stolen. And that becomes a big challenge. Data can be compromised. And even with all the strict regulations that we have. But interestingly, most of the cyber attacks these days, before now, they go for big businesses, they go for big banks, they go for big entities. But now, for obvious reasons, they are beginning to attack smaller businesses. And why are they doing that? Obviously, they know that for small businesses, you don't have so much money to invest in IT department or buy all the firewalls or everything that is needed to protect yourself. And they also realize that we use, as a small business, you use a lot of third-party software. You are not able to invest and develop your own software. And so we become very easy targets. They can easily manipulate our technology. They can also, because employees of SMEs are paid little, they can have for employees manipulation. They can look at connivance of employee to wreak havoc. And also we see today a lot of insider theft. And this and more has become very grave concerns for us, that we are vulnerable, we are not immune from the challenges that are around us. We are not totally out of gaze for the cyber criminals. So you can't really just sit down and think that, oh, it's a small business. It is not my kind of business they're looking at. You may be wrong. It could be that kind of business they're looking at because they know you're an easy target. And they would rather make do with what they can get with it from you than trying to crack their head against the big organizations who have invested a lot of money in trying to protect themselves. So with that thought, we have looked at our customers, and we know that the SMEs are our customers. And as it is our practice to build capacity and to also equip our customers to be the best they can ever be. We care about your business. We have decided to call their partner and friend in the business, Esther Young, who gracefully has given us a subject matter expert, Kelly Ojude, to discuss this subject with us. So I welcome you. Please relax and write out all your questions. And at the end of the day, we should have more time to attend to all the questions. Kelly, good morning and you're welcome. And thank you for coming to grace this webinar. Officer, back to you.
Thank you very much, MD. Thank you for that warm welcome. And an official welcome to Kelly. We're very excited to have you. Thank you. And to the EY team as well for honoring our invite. We do appreciate the partnership and the collaboration. Before I hand over to Kelly, I'd just like to take a quick brief from his profile. Kelly is an experienced cybersecurity manager with over a decade in the industry and consulting experience in the financial services, healthcare, technology, retail, logistics, telco, and public service, where he solved cybersecurity problems for organizations across the EIM. He has spoken at conferences, delivered trainings, mentored high-performing teams, and advised C-suite executives throughout his career. Kelly's specialty area include application security, DevSecOps security, cloud security, red teaming, information risk management, cyber defense, strategy, and executive leadership. Thank you very much. Once again, you're welcome, Kelly. So I'll just hand over to you and work your magic. We still have the poll question up for some of our new customers and colleagues. We also have colleagues from other microfinance banks that have joined as well. So if you're here, please say hello so we can also acknowledge you and appreciate you. And I also like to acknowledge all the senior Action Microfinance Bank that are also on the call today. And then we also have representatives from EY as well. Thank you, everyone, and welcome. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Fisai. Is my voice audible? Can you hear me? Okay. Also, thank you.
Yes, it's audible, Kelly, but it's cracking just a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm on my own end.
Okay. Let me see if I can make some adjustments.
Kelly is actually very audible.
But it's good now.
Yes,
Okay.
it's good now. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, MD. That was a wonderful introduction. But let me first of all thank the management of Action Bank, Microfinance Bank, and also to EY, the EY partnership, for giving me this opportunity. And also a warm welcome to the customers of Action Bank and their partners as well who are on this call. You've had the introduction from the MD. Cyber threats is a huge thing. Okay, with the innovations that we have in the cyber world, with AI doing so many good things, cyber attackers have leveraged these good things that computers, AI has introduced for their own benefits. Okay, and in the news every day you hear stories of how corporations, big and small, are compromised And, a lot could happen, finances could be lost, personal and sensitive data could be lost. There could be potential legal suits, and, loss of reputations as well. So it's very important that we all take cybersecurity very seriously and do our best to ensure the security of our businesses and also our personal security. So without further ado, I'll just go straight into the agenda for today. I think I have about 45 minutes. I'll try and wrap up in like 40 minutes, hopefully.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Fisaya. And I'll try and make this less technical, for the audience so that everybody can understand what we're doing here. So first of all, introduction and, set the scene on the cybersecurity landscape within Nigeria. And I'll walk you through things, that you should do for your own personal security and for your business as well. Things around social engineering, email security, password management, a very big thing. Ransomware, malware, viruses. I'm sure people have heard of this. Your internet security, how you conduct yourself on the internet, and what you should do as a business, to protect yourself. So just setting the scene, in West Africa, I'm sure we all watched the news. Cybersecurity is underreported, I should say. People don't discuss much about it. You hear the news, you hear Russia, you hear the US, you hear China, you hear Israel and cyber attacks and all that. But how many times do you hear that there've been a cyber breach in Nigeria or in Ghana or in South Africa, in any of the African countries, or even West Africa? So it's rarely discussed, but in reality, we do face serious challenges when it comes to cyber, right? And, a lot of these threats have, not just the big organizations, the big banks, but even small businesses as well. So if you can look at what I have here, it shows how important SMEs are to the success or the growth of Nigeria. It has contributed about 48% to the national GDP, which shows you it's very important and why cyber criminals are targeting, these SMEs. And, the jobs in Nigeria, thanks to SMEs also, it has contributed 84% of jobs in, our economy. But the reality is this: as SMEs continue to grow, cyber threats also increases. SMEs are now adopting a lot of technology to do businesses, third-party systems, cloud environments, and so on and so forth. And as these innovations or this adoption of technology increases, cyber criminals are also targeting these organizations, right? On the screen, I have some stats and references as well. About 127 billion lost to cybercrime on an annual basis. I think this was a start from, I should say maybe last year or 2 years ago. 127 billion, that's a huge sum of money. And in 2022, if I recall, a single fintech company lost 22 billion, okay? And they had to shut down. And I can tell you why, in subsequent slides. If you also look down, 2.5 million is lost by, companies with less than 200 employees. I'm sure this is where SME is falling, due to cyber attacks, right? And on the far right, top right, I have top 5 common causes of cyber breaches. And, we can all look inwardly and see where we have been getting it wrong. Weak or stolen credentials. How many of us have passwords, the same password for all our accounts on the internet? Application vulnerabilities. We develop applications, mobile applications for business, web applications, websites, but we don't put efforts to ensure that there are security controls for these applications. So it's a top 5 issue. And then malware. Malware encompasses ransomware, viruses, the likes of them, worms, and all that. These are malicious software that when they attack your systems can take control of your system, take personal data and credit card from your system and send them back to whoever is controlling it, the hacker somewhere in Russia, I should say, or in Nigeria, in Lagos, right? And then you have number 4, malicious insiders. This you can also call insider threats. And the truth of the matter is this: in my experience in banking, this is very serious. This is where you have insiders, people with a certain privilege, right, colluding with these cyber criminals to commit fraud. And sometimes it could be ex-employees. So when people leave the firm and you've not done the needful to ensure that the access that they had has been yanked off, then this happens. Then insider errors. People make mistakes on a daily basis, poor configurations. And when that happens, then the company is vulnerable to cyber attacks. And in reality, the most targeted industry is finance and banking. So the financial institutions face a whole lot of threats. I think the other industries are like telcos, healthcare, and the rest, but financial institutions face the most cyber attacks. In the news last year, I'm sure we're all aware of this, okay? BetNaija, which is arguably the biggest betting company in Nigeria, were attacked. And, the news was that it was a ransomware attack, okay? And they were attacked by a Russian syndicate. Okay, that's just to tell you that Nigerian companies are attacked. And they had to issue a statement. And this is just one of, the numerous companies that are attacked on a yearly basis in Nigeria. So what is information security? I think it's important that we break it down, let people understand what information security is, or cybersecurity, which is a subset of information security, and what, people can do, businesses can do to secure themselves. But to understand information security, I'm not going to dwell much on explaining this. I'll just take 3 very vital terms. If you're asked to explain information security, just say confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay, but there is a poll. So I'll just go back and, give a minute for people to answer this. Let's see if we have some understanding of what information security is. So I'll just set a timer. So what is the definition of information security? It's a single choice question. First option, the practice of securing physical assets such as buildings and equipment. Is that the right answer? You decide. The second option is the protection of information from authorized access and unauthorized changes while ensuring its availability when needed. It could be the answer, I'm not sure. You decide. The third option is the process of managing financial risk within an organization. And the final option is the implementation of firewalls and antivirus software and computer systems. I'll just give a minute and see if we have a fair understanding of what information security is. Zoe, do we have some answers coming in?
Yes, so we have 91% of people saying option 2, the protection of information from unauthorized access and unauthorized changes whilst ensuring its availability when needed.
Okay, and that's actually the correct answer. Okay, so, and I'll explain in the next slide. So I think you can end the polls, or you can leave it running for some time. All right. So information security is all about three things, right? Confidentiality. Confidentiality comes from the word confidence, right? When you tell someone something in confidence, that means they should only have knowledge of that information. No one else should have knowledge of that information, right? Okay, so we have the polls, 93%. That's good. So as I was saying, confidentiality is very important because in businesses, there are need to knows, okay? There are sensitive information that shouldn't go to the public. Even within the business, there are information that, a certain people should, know about, while the rest of, the employees shouldn't know about. So when information is divulged to people that shouldn't have that information, there has been an impact on confidentiality, right? So what this essentially is saying is that only authorized people should have access to certain information, okay? The second part of information security, which is very important, is integrity. Now, I have sent you an information, and I'm in Nigeria, and I've sent you this information in maybe Ghana or in the USA. What is the guarantee that that information got to you without being tampered with? So integrity here talks about a data not being modified, right? And I can give you an example. A few years ago, a software company, a website that has softwares for people to download, got compromised. And what hackers did was to upload their own software, which is a malware, in place of a popular software, okay? And people downloaded that software, okay? So the integrity of that software has been tampered with. And when people downloaded that software, it did terrible things because it was a malware or a virus, I should say. So integrity in this case has been impacted, right? So information should not in any way be modified before it gets to the party that should have it. And the final part of information security is availability. Just like the case of BetNiger that I explained, for a few hours or maybe up to 24 hours, BetNiger was not accessible to the customers. And in the current Nigerian situation, I'm sure we have all complained of this, banking systems not being available. You can't do transactions without sweating. That is information security being affected. When you want to use a resource and you cannot use it because it's unavailable, information security availability has been impacted. And guess what? It does not have to be caused by cyber attacks. It could be caused by the organization themselves. When they don't have enough capacity to run that service, availability is affected, right? So I hope that is very clear. But then, with this CIA triad, as we call it, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, with that in mind, there is still a problem, okay? And the problem is us, the people, okay? The security of any company or small business is as good as its weakest link. And in security, they said weakest link are humans, human beings, okay? And I have a stat here that says 62% of all attacks are initiated by insiders. So that means people are responsible for that, whether it's collusion from those people or whether it's the fact that they are unaware that they are being used for fraud, okay? And I'll explain how you should strengthen your weakest link, which are humans. So to strengthen this security when it comes to your weakest link, it is very important to have a culture of security awareness, a culture where people understand what the impact of their actions or inactions are when it comes to security. People should actually be the first line of defense. That means when an email is sent to you, you should properly scrutinize that email to be sure that someone hasn't sent you a virus or it's not a phishing email before putting your IT department or security in jeopardy. Because if you click that email, you're putting the burden on your IT team to detect that that email has a virus, okay? So where you have organizations that have people that are fully aware of information security and what the impacts are, then you have, to a large extent, the business has done what it needs to do to be secure. So I'll start by saying limiting human error is number one. Everything is configuration. If you buy a cloud space, you want to host your business on AWS, for instance, or on Azure, you need to configure it properly. If you want to host your website or your application on a data center somewhere in 21st century, you will need proper configuration. If you have an IT team, you need them to configure your applications, your websites, your business, devices, your systems, and all that. So the most you can do is to limit human errors, because when there are human errors, hackers will just come in, right? And of course, there are personal and intellectual properties that businesses have. It is very important that you learn to protect them. And there are various ways that you can protect them: by encryption, ensuring that access to those personal information are only available to those that need them, right? And thirdly, instilling a sense of responsibility. A few years ago, when I was still in the bank, we had security champions in every department, okay? Even in departments that are not IT or information security inclined. And, what we realized is that, people had this sense of responsibility when they are made security champions. That means they champion the cause for information security within their department. And when they spot things that don't look right, people that write passwords on their desk or on notes on their computer wallpapers, they write passwords, they report them, right? And also advise those people to stop those activities or those habits. So it's very important to instill a sense of cybersecurity. People, your employees should understand that security is everybody's business. It's not just the IT department's business. And then on the business part, when you've done all this, you should actually put in a cybersecurity defense. You should have a way to ensure that when every other thing fails, that your business can withstand any form of cyber attack. So it is very important. I don't know if we have a poll. I should go to the next slide. Okay, so I would like to discuss cybersecurity threats and what you can do to protect your business. There are a lot of threats facing businesses, SMEs inclusive, and financial institutions in all sectors that you have. You have insider threats, which I've talked about. You have physical security breaches, where people actually go to your offices and try to compromise your physical security and get inside and plug maybe a USB drive or maybe hack your ATMs and all that. Then you have lack of security in mobile devices. People use devices for personal use, for office use, and when there are no security controls there, it could be a source of cyber attack. But I'm not going to focus on all those. I'm going to focus on the ones that are highlighted in yellow. Social engineering, which I'm going to discuss in details. Malware, which encompasses viruses and the rest, ransomware and all that. Suspicious email. I have mentioned that emails these days come with viruses, come with phishing links, asking you to submit credentials and sensitive information. And vulnerable password. I think everyone at some point has fallen victim to using vulnerable passwords. Yahoo has been hacked many times for those that have Yahoo emails. And what attackers did back then when they hacked Yahoo was to use the same password to find the person on Gmail or find the person on other social media or other email accounts. And funny enough, the same passwords work. So you listening to my voice now, if I can get hold of your Facebook password, can I also compromise your Instagram or your email? So are you using the same password? And is the password not up to standard? Okay, I'll explain that in subsequent slides. And then unsafe internet surfing. Okay, you go to airports, you go to hotels, you're looking for Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi. What you don't understand is that those Wi-Fis could be used to hack into your phones or into your laptops or to intercept your traffic or your communication with your bank and all of the sites that you visit. I'll explain in subsequent slides. Social engineering. Please call my attention when we have a poll, right? What is social engineering? Okay, phishing attack. I'll explain phishing attack in the next slide. But before we take this poll, for those that know, you can answer them. But before we take this poll, let me explain what social engineering is. It is a deceptive attack and arguably the most powerful tool that cyber criminals use. You would have heard of the likes of Hushpuppi and all of them. They used social engineering a lot. And, you know, it, like I said, it's deceptive. It tends to use your emotions. Okay, someone calls you on the phone and says that they are from your bank and something has happened on your account and they need to troubleshoot it, that you're going to get an OTP on your phone, just call it out. Or you get an email saying that you have an offer of employment, send your details, send your phone number, send your house address, send this and send that. You know, it comes in many ways, right? And when you are able to fall victim to these attacks and give out sensitive information, then there's a compromise has happened. Attackers will now use this information to further their attacks or their fraud. If you look on the right, I don't know how many of you watched this movie, Identity Theft. The woman on the right is a fraudster who used the man's identity and, you know, his credit card. He rendered the man useless, that the man had to leave his city to look for her and traveled looking for her. But she was enjoying the man's wealth, his credit card, and she became him literally. Okay, and it's possible. Okay, with social engineering, I can become you. Okay, all I need to do is to harvest your digital identity, everything that has to do with you, and I can impersonate you, and I'll begin to enjoy some of the money that you have. Okay, and phishing is a type of social engineering, and I'll explain it in the next slide, but I want us to take this poll. What is phishing attack? And it's a single choice question. It's a type of, I think, of phishing activity that takes place, finishing activity that takes place in the digital world. It could be, or maybe not. It's a type of attack where hackers physically steal your system. That means they'll come and carry your system. It's possible. It could also be a type of attack where hackers trick you into giving away your sensitive information, maybe. And finally, a type of attack where hackers use a specific type of malware to infect your computer. Zoe, do we have answers trickling in right now?
Yes, the poll hasn't been closed yet, just waiting for some more responses. I'll close it in a second.
Okay. So we'll give 30 seconds to see if people are actually following.
Please, the poll questions or the poll is up on the screen. If you would like to participate, just click your preferred answer. Thank you. I think we'll do maybe like 5 more seconds and then we can close it. So we move very quickly because I'm sure a lot of people have questions to ask. Is that good with you, Kelly?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, great. Thanks. So we can close the poll now. Thank you.
All right, so Zoe, you can close the poll and let's see the answers. Okay, it shows that we are following, but I wonder, who are the 4% that says it's a finishing activity that takes place in the digital world, right? The answer is that it is a type of attack where hackers trick you into giving sensitive information, right? And I'll explain that in the next slide. Phishing, very important. So like I said, social engineering comes in different forms, okay? But the most prevalent is phishing. And phishing comes where attackers, use their social engineering skills to deceive you, to collect your password to your accounts, to your bank account, password to your emails, password to your social media accounts. People are getting hacked on Facebook, even through WhatsApp and a whole lot of social media platforms. On the right, you will see a typical example of how this happens. So you see an attacker who, in most cases, attackers don't wear hoodies as portrayed in movies, but an attacker is somewhere. It could be within your network, or it could be far away. Sends you an email, and you receive the email. Okay, the email could ask you to fill a form. Okay, I have been called to investigate a lot of breaches that happen where people receive emails, from their managing directors or from HR saying, authorize this transaction. And because it's coming from the MD, nobody wants to call the MD to question and say, MD, sir, are you the one that sent this? And they go ahead and authorize those transactions. Or it comes from the CFO, and you go ahead and authorize them. And then a breach happens, and you get to find out that it wasn't the MD that sent you that email. Probably the MD's email has been compromised, or the person is using an email that looks like the MD's email. Okay. And you enter those information, you process those transactions. It could also be an attachment asking you to open, and out of curiosity, you open the attachment. But what you don't know is that the minute you open the attachment, something runs behind the scene, and most times you're not aware. And when your IT team or your information security team does not have the necessary security controls in place, that malware infects your system. And when it infects your system, it takes hold of your system, and then it moves from your system to the next system, to the next system, until the whole business is compromised. That's just how it happens. Okay. So, how do you spot phishing? I've mentioned that phishing attacks comes in different, forms. It could be an email, it could be a phone, SMS, it could be through social media, right? But how do you spot this phishing email? Be very careful of bad grammar. A lot of these hackers are uneducated and they send emails with spelling errors. But do you know the truth? The truth is that educated people are now colluding with these hackers. So in many cases, you will see perfectly structured emails with no single grammatical errors, okay? So when you get that, look for other things. Hover on the email address, on the link that was sent with the email to check where that email is going to. Please don't click the link directly. You can just copy it, paste it on a browser, and see the full link. If it looks suspicious, do not click, okay? You could also check for urgencies, because what happens is that, some of these fraudulent emails come and tell you to do something immediately. If you don't reset your password, you lose your account within 24 hours. If you don't do this, this will happen within so and so. Your bank will never tell you. You will never see that urgency from emails from your bank or from your business or from any institution that legitimate institution, right? So check for necessary urgency and look at subject lines. Sometimes it is vague. They have not done proper background checks on you, so they really don't know you. So they are sending the same email to you, to the same email they're sending it to other people as well. So check for vague subject lines that are not directly linked to you, and don't be in a rush to open such emails or to click them. And also check for improper use of copyrights. You see them using Microsoft logo, Facebook logo, and all that. in many cases, they don't get it right. Okay. Email security. Also similar to phishing, because phishing is predominantly done via email, and a lot of the recommendations I had given earlier. So never click on links sent to you via email. Always type it on the browser. Okay. The truth of the matter is, whenever my bank, because of my awareness level, even when my bank send me emails, I just go and Google. If I want to use the bank, I just go and Google and look at the links that Google has given, and look at the links properly, and before I click it. So I'm always very aware of this. And in the bank that I worked with before, it became a law that anybody sending emails should not put a link. So what they did was, if there is a link that you want people to click, go on the intranet and put that link there. So people go on the intranet and click that link. And it's proper, it's good hygiene, right? So when you ensure that links are not there, then it reduces cyber attacks. But in many cases, there will always be links. So it's left for you to, be mindful of that and look at the links properly before you click them. Okay. Office emails are meant for business purposes. This I cannot overemphasize. I have seen people use office emails for personal use. They use it to register on different personal websites. It is not ideal. When you do that, you expose your business to a lot of the cyber attacks, right? So limit your business emails for business purposes and use your personal emails for personal things, right? Archive your emails regularly and take backup of critical files. In many cases, when your emails are compromised, you might never get them back. That's the sad reality. But when you archive them offline and store them, encrypt them, of course, when you store them, if for some reason you lose your email, you can get them back because you have a backup of that email, right? Do not use public email or personal email for official communication. Please, if your business has a domain, use the email that they've given you for official communications. Don't use your Gmail, don't use your Yahoo Mail, and all that, right? And finally, on this slide, do not send official data on public email without approval from the business, okay? I think businesses should invest in having domains, okay? Domain identifies that this is your business, okay? So if I'm running ABC business, buy a domain that says abc.com or abc.net or abc.that, and create email accounts for your employees that shows that this is abc.com, right? I've seen notable businesses or brands, even celebrities, use public emails. The truth of the matter is, when you use those public emails, anyone can impersonate you. It is very easy to be impersonated, right? So I'll always encourage people to use business emails. Password management. Everyone has fallen victim to this. I would like us to take this poll, okay? Since I believe everyone is familiar. Which of the following is not a best practice for password security? First option, using a combination. The keyword is not, okay? So first option, using a combination of letters, numbers, and symbols in your password. Changing your password every 6 months. Using a password manager to securely store your password. Using the same password across multiple accounts. So we have 30 seconds. Our time starts now. So do we have answers coming in?
Yes, we do. We have about 53 responses so far, just waiting for a few more.
Okay, 30 more seconds. Great. I think you can end the poll. Let's see the answers. Good, 83%. So for those that chose, the 10% that chose the first answer, that's actually best practice. Okay, so we encourage you to use letters, numbers, and symbols. Symbols are what you call special characters. I've seen passwords of just letters. People just use their names, okay, or just numbers. They use their, their date of birth, right? So be mindful of that. It's important to change your password, every 6 months. You can make it 3 months if you like. Using a password manager is very important as well. Even though it has, it could be risky sometimes, especially password managers that are not good enough from, not so good or reputable companies. But to a large extent, password managers help you manage passwords very well. So the answer is the last one. Zoe, can you put it up again? Using the same password across multiple accounts. It is not advisable, like I've mentioned before. Thank you. So if you look at this, you will see that weak passwords play very major role in fraudulent activities. Very important. 81% amount of data breaches in 2020 were tied to passwords. Okay, so that means that cyber criminals, they go on the internet looking for weak passwords. Okay, you can scan the internet, right? Or go to a lot of applications. You have usernames. Usernames are out there. They are not hard to come by, right? I can make a word list of multiple usernames or email addresses and automate something that you call brute forcing. Brute forcing is where you try to guess passwords, okay? And that happens when you have weak passwords like we have on the right, showing top 10 weak passwords cracked in 2020. It's very easy. If I launch a brute force attack, I will have all these passwords in a file because they are very common, and I'll launch it against your email address or your username. What are my odds that I'll get into your account? My chances are quite high if you use a lot of those passwords, right? And the funny thing is when you use those passwords and the business or the website tries to encrypt this password, it's also easy to decrypt, okay, because they are weak passwords, right? 53% of people admit that they reuse the same password for multiple accounts. Do not do it. It's not good at all, right? So I have on the slide 5 rules that you should abide with. Create a strong password. And I also encourage businesses to also ensure that they have strong password policies so that when people go on your website and try to create passwords, if they don't meet your policy, you reject that account creation. So they must meet your password policy. And it's usually recommended to have a minimum of 8 characters. I would suggest 12 characters and above, but the minimum is 8. And those passwords should include uppercase characters. That means capital letter, lowercase, special characters, and numbers. Okay, when you have all these things together, you can actually have a good password. And do not use common passwords. You can have all these things and still your account is easy to hack. I'll give you an example. If you have password $123, it is a very common password. And the first P might be capital letter, right? People know this password, so do not use common passwords. No matter if you use special characters, okay? Don't write it down. I never write my passwords down. It is good that I forget them. Every account or every website or application should have the forgot password feature. So when you forget your password, you can reset them, okay? Do not write them down anywhere in Notepad. I'll give you an example. I started my career as a penetration tester or as an ethical hacker. And what I do is that I go to organizations that call me to hack their systems, right? And when I hack their systems, I give them recommendations on how to fix those systems. So the bad people out there, the bad hackers, will not come in. One thing that I do when I compromise or hack into a system is to look for passwords that people have saved in note files, notepads, Word documents, Excel. I even go to their browsers. Important for those that visit websites and they click to save their passwords on browsers. It is a very bad idea. And I can tell you now, do not do it. Okay, because when your system is hacked, the hacker will go to your browser to see if there are saved passwords. And in many cases, that alone has given me access to a top tier bank in Nigeria. A system administrator in the bank had all the passwords of all the internal sensitive applications saved on their browsers. I just harvested them and I had access to everything within a day. So it's very bad. It's a very bad idea. Keep your passwords to yourself. Do not share it with anyone. People have been sacked for organizations that have strict policies, okay? If they notice that you're logged in from a branch in Lagos, and then the same account is logged in a branch in Kano, there could be penalties. So what it means is that if you've not been hacked, that means you've shared your password with someone. And I've seen people do this time, many times. Do not share your password, no matter what. There are no emotions attached to it. Okay, so your password is for you alone. Authenticate more than once. For all my digital accounts, I have an authenticator app, an MFA app. Google has Google Authenticator, Microsoft has Microsoft Authenticator. So even if I give you my password, you won't be able to log in, okay, because I will have to authenticate with the authenticator apps. And there are many authenticator apps out there that are good, and you don't have to use them. You can use text messages, right, as a two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. Some banks give hardware token, for transactions. Very important. They have pros and cons depending on how you see it. I do not advise email or text message multi-factor authentication, but when you don't have any other option, it's a good start. And the reason why I say I do not advise them is that your phone could be stolen, right? Or your email could be compromised. And the hacker is waiting for you to receive the OTP in your email, and they'll just use it, okay? So there are advantages and disadvantages. So you should use more than one if possible, okay? And finally, change it periodically. It could be 60 days, 45 days, 90 days, depending on the policy of your business. It is very important. And this is across all your digital platforms. If it's your internet banking, if it's your, any account, ensure that you change them frequently. Just 1 second. Okay. Ransomware, malware, and viruses. How many of us do not update our systems due to reasons best known to us? Maybe we don't have data, and you see this update system, this red alert, and you have like 2 gig or 10 gig worth of updates to do, and you shake your head, I don't have data. Or maybe when I see a Wi-Fi, I'll update it. Okay, I'm sure there are a lot of people that are on that table. It is a bad idea. Okay, ensure that you have automatic updates on your phones, on your laptops. Buy data. Look for where you can see good data and update your systems, because when you don't update them, you're leaving your systems or your mobile phones vulnerable to malware. So malware, like I've said before, these are software programs for programmers that write programs. Okay, you can write good programs, you can also write bad programs. So what they do is that they write these software programs that can have multiple features. Okay, I've seen viruses that can take hold of your system and begin to send data out of your system to a location somewhere, and you wouldn't know. Okay, or they'll scan your system for sensitive information, and you wouldn't know. I've also seen malwares, in this case, ransomware, that will just take hold of the system and ask you to pay them in Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. Okay, which is a way that they will, they used to remain undetected, because they won't send you an account number to go and send the money in the account number, right? There is just so many things that can be done with malware, right? So what are the recommendations here? Keep your software up to date. Very important. Back up your data. Backup is very important. So what happens when you've had ransomware and you don't want to pay, which is number 4, do not pay them, okay? Because there is no guarantee that you get your data back, okay? When you have backup, just, start business again with your backup. So ensure that your backup is done properly, so that when you have any form of breach or attack, you can come back up immediately. And finally, when you've been hacked, okay, contact your IT team or your security team, okay? When you've clicked any email that you're not so sure of, maybe you've opened a site and they've told you to put your password, you put the password and they ask you to put it again. What happened to the one that you put before? Okay, so there are many deceptive ways that attackers can maybe, clickjack, I should say. It's a technical word, and I'm not going to try to explain it. So they can clickjack whatever input that you put on the site. Okay, if the site is vulnerable, right? So that first click or that first password that you've put, it did not go to the website, but it went to the attacker, who has put a frame on top of the website. Okay, so when you mistakenly clicked on anything or downloaded software that you're not supposed to download, immediately report to your IT team. As you can see here, ransomware, I have mentioned, in Bed Niger was ransomware. And there are a lot of companies that have been hit with ransomware. So what happens is that it encrypts your hard drive, okay, or different folders in your machine. And when it does, you cannot access them again. And if you don't have backups, then it's game over. You just have to pay, okay? But we don't advise you to pay, okay? Do not pay, always backup, right? I won't spend time here because I've also talked about it. Computer virus, it's also a type of malware, okay? There are just differences between viruses, ransomware, Trojan horses. There are so many different types of malware, okay? I've explained this, so I won't explain it again because of time. Internet security, very important, okay? How do you protect yourself personally and also your business from some of the threats that come from internet security? I'll spend much time here to discuss this. I have the do's and the don'ts when it comes to information security when you surf the internet. Okay, if you go to a website that does not have HTTPS, okay, and that website requires you to put information, please do not do it, okay? If it's a website that doesn't, require that you send the information, it is okay, because it costs money to put SSL certificate on websites, right? Even though I advise that you do it, it costs money, okay? So if it's a website that you have to sign in or do, some transactions, if it doesn't have the S, right, please do not do it, okay? Even for websites with S, there could also be other issues with them. Say the SSL certificate is not up to date, or there are other things that I won't go into because of time and the technicalities involved. But at the barest minimum, do not send any sensitive information when you visit those sites. Be careful about what you download and where you download it from. People are used to, I think maybe it's a culture of freebies. We're used to free things. And because of that, we want to download free software. We don't want to pay for it. Everyone has been guilty. Maybe in my early years, I was guilty of this, but now I pay for all my software. Okay. And the implication is that if you don't download the software from the recommended sites, you could be vulnerable to downloading a malicious software without knowing this. And this also applies to those that watch movies from untrusted websites. Okay, you use your company given device or laptop to stream movies on all those torrent sites and all that. You could potentially infect your system with malware. Okay, so be careful what you download and where you download them from, and ensure that it's from a trusted source. Okay, so while at work, access internet for business purposes. Please, okay, use the internet that your company has given you for business purposes. Do not use it to solve personal things. I've seen people do WhatsApp, personal WhatsApp on their browsers, or visit shopping sites, or watch movies from the said untrusted sites while at work. Okay, you're potentially exposing the company to cyber attack. And like I've mentioned before, be wary of clicking links in emails, instant messages, and pop-ups. Okay. And finally, on the do's, enable multi-factor authentication. And what about the don'ts? I've also explained them while I was explaining the do's. Do not use HTTP for financial transactions. Always a bad idea. And I'll briefly explain why. When you don't have that S, which is SSL, or TLS, which is the latest, that information that you're sending between your system and your bank could be intercepted. Someone can see them. Someone within your network, someone at your ISP level, in the case MTN, if you're using MTN, they could potentially see your traffic. Okay, any ISP you're using. Or it could be someone who has hacked your network, is within the network layer. Okay, before it leaves the network, okay, the person can potentially see your traffic. Or you use a hotspot. Okay, you don't know that the person controlling the hotspot has other agendas. Okay, whatever traffic you're sending, the person can see them. But when you use HTTPS, it encrypts that data. So that means that the data is going through an encrypted channel. So the person can see the data, but it's in an encrypted form. They can't do anything with it. Okay, so do not share, download, or upload confidential data. So while you work in your small businesses, please, company confidential information is for the company. Not share it with anyone at all who doesn't have the right to know. You can be sued for that, right? I think we are over time by a few minutes, 10 minutes, so I'll just wrap up quickly. Fisai, I can see you. Just give me 2 minutes, right? Do not click on links or pop-ups that you are not aware of. And when you get those links or urgent emails from your MD, please ask. You can call the MD if you can, or call your supervisor and ask if they've sent you such emails. Okay, and I have mentioned the other ones before. Likewise, this, when you're outside your office premises using public Wi-Fi's, please run away from free Wi-Fi's. I try as much as possible to run away from them, because personally, I can set up a Wi-Fi that has the same name as, Action MFB, if they're using Wi-Fi, right? Or at the airports, if you go to, I don't know if our Nigerian airports have Wi-Fi, or if you go to airports that have Wi-Fi's, I can set up a rogue hotspot and name it Dubai Airports free Wi-Fi. And you jump on it, it's a free Wi-Fi. You connect to it, whatever you're doing on your phone, on your laptop, I'm seeing them, right? Okay. When you're not using your Wi-Fi, turn them off. use of VPN if you have to connect to a secure site. I've been working from home for the last three years due to COVID. When I want to connect to company sites, I use VPN. So VPN creates a tunnel, an encrypted tunnel between my laptop and my business. So all information goes through that tunnel, okay? And then the don'ts, which exactly are things that I've mentioned. I think this is my last slide. So what should your business focus on? This is the final slide that I have here before I hand over to Fisayo. Okay, security operations, if you have the budget for it, it should automate it by design, right? So that means you're building security, you're infusing security by design. So if you're building an application, think of security. I see businesses, a lot of people here also on that table. You build your loan applications, you build these applications, and when you're done building it, you start calling a company or a cyber person to come and do penetration testing. That is a wrong idea, okay? Because penetration testing will not see everything. Okay, so think of security by design. So when you're building your APIs, what are the possible security threats that could potentially happen? The hosting, where I'm hosting my data, is it properly secured, right? There are a lot of things that you can do. Threat modeling, okay, have a security metrics that speaks to everyone in the organization, okay, metrics, KPIs that you can use for cybersecurity, okay? Ensure an organization that is fully aware. Security culture, like I've mentioned before, everyone should be aware of cybersecurity and the implications. And when you have that organization, that every of your employees, including your third parties and vendors and contract staff, when they are fully aware of security, it goes a long way to helping your business. Data privacy is very important. I'm sure everyone knows the data protection bill that, you know, has been signed into law. And before that, NDPR. If you're caught lacking, there could be legal suits. And imagine when your business that does maybe 50 million in a year has to spend that 50 million on legal suits. That means you're out of business, right? So ensure that data privacy is, it's factored into every facet of your business. For those that have business applications, loan applications, please ensure that you do not, pry into people's privacies. This has been an issue in the last few years of loan applications, having access to text messages or contacts, so that when people default, they can harass their contacts and all that. It violates every data privacy law anywhere in the world. And when you're sued, there will be consequences, right? And finally, there has to be collaborations with everyone. Business owners should collaborate with the cyber team, the IT team, law enforcement agencies, the EFCC, the police, and all that. I think that brings me to the end of the presentation. Fisayo, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. That's actually a very insightful session. I mean, when you talked about accessing internet at the airport, I was like, that is me, or, if that is a way they want to set trap for me, forget it. Because as soon as I get somewhere, I just want that free internet, right? Thanks. It's actually been very, very insightful. So I see some of the questions coming in. But before we go into the proper Q&A, I want one of my colleagues, the head of innovation, Emmanuel Aige. We've received some questions regarding the mobile app, so we'll just speak to it very quickly in 2 minutes, while we'll let the audience, so some of our customers, then some of our colleagues in the other microfinance banks as well, while they drop their comments and feedback in the box. So I'll just quickly hand over to my colleague, Emmanuel, very quickly, like a minute or two, we'll speak to the mobile app, and then we'll come back to the Q&A. So please drop your questions. I've seen a couple of questions. We'll take that one. We'll come back, Kelly. Someone wants to find out how safe is internet for hotel. Then also wants to find out DDoS. Then I have some other questions too. So we'll dive into that. And if you have other questions or clarification, this is a safe space. So we're all learning here. So let everyone just, speak freely and drop some of those comments. Thank you very much. Mano.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'll say good morning to Prof. Kelly. That was interesting. And so my name is Emmanuel Lahigwe, as rightly introduced by my bio. We have quite a lot of questions concerning our mobile app. Before I jump into that, I would like to say this is the real message for the season. How do I mean? Because we are actually at a time where, innovation, we have a lot of software emanating from every angle. And, as financial institutions, we tend to provide more convenience to our customers. And the more we do that, the more we get ourselves exposed to a lot of, softwares out there. For example, the like of ChatGPT, which is actually raining. But as beautiful as that AI tool is, it also comes, with a lot of threats as well. So cyber threat is actually the talk of the town. It is important that we understand how the best way to mitigate any form of threat from, with software would like to present to our end users, our customers. I just read an article that even the ChatGPT apparently being used by hackers. They can use it to write malicious codes, malwares, with the help of ChatGPT. And at the same time, threat actors as well, they also use the ChatGPT to generate, phishing emails and other scamming content. It's quite enormous. So this is the message for the season, really. Thank you very much. Going back to our mobile app, yes, a lot of questions, inability to access my phones and all that. So I would tell us, around December, we actually had multiple threats, multiple attack, cyber threat and attack to our foremost digital channel, which is the mobile app. But beautifully, we're able to quickly curtail the threat, and the penetration was not intense at all. We brought it down and we went back to check the loopholes, the possible means that which these attackers are actually coming in. And the good news is, as we speak as of today, the mobile app has been restored back to the Play Store for the Android users. And for the iOS users, it's also available. So we have been able to enhance, the onboarding process, the application process, and all that, down to the registration process. And we've, as we speak, we are still trying to look at how to make it a bit more seamless, because we got a feedback that, okay, the process is a bit cumbersome and all that. But a bit of it all, it's better for the process to be a bit cumbersome than for you to lose your money. So what we're going to do, I just want to do a 1 minute run through of what you need to do. This is the App Store, which is for Android users. App Store for iOS users, and Google Play Store for the Android users. Download Action mobile app. After you download the Action mobile app, then dial the 572 hash. You don't need to register on our USSD mobile, right? Once you download the mobile app and you are an existing user of the app, just go to 572 hash. On the menu 7, you have the mobile app. And what you do afterward is to click on number 2. That is action 2. So that enables you to reset your profile. And the only means of authentication is just to put your PIN in your existing PIN you're using on the app before. Afterwards, you go back to the mobile app and register. Upon successful registration, you go back to the 572 hash, and then you go back to minute 7 as well. Then you click on application 1. So that enables you to activate your profile. Once you do that, you're good to go. But if you're a new user, new to bank, you never had any form of relationship with the bank, just download the mobile app, complete your registration, and then go to 572 hash. Then you activate your profile on the USSD. These are the few steps you need to take, and then there you go. You have access to your mobile app, and then you continue to transmit your. And our call center is available 24/7. Feel free to reach us. Even what we have also done innovatively via the mobile app, you can have a direct chat with our call center agents that are also available 24/7. Let me put a stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emmanuel. So we've officially opened the Q&A session. I think, so I'll just quickly run through it. I think Zoe has spoken to some of the issues. Again, the two channels to which you can get your feedback across. You can drop it in the chat box, or you can also raise your hand. So if you would like to raise your hand, please click the link. There's a feature down where there's hand raise. You can just click that and then we can unmute you to speak. And you can also type and drop in the chat box or the Q&A box. Okay, I think, so let me just quickly read. Okay, I think Zoe has responded. If you still need clarification for some of those responses, please let us know. So some of the feedback we have from Pastor Badaro, thanks for joining us. This is expository. Thank you, Action Microfinance Bank. Thank you, Action, for this session. Very, very good. So just a quick one. I'm not sure if Zoe, okay, I think we responded to the DDoS. Did you also, can we also get clarification? Kelly, I don't know if you responded or Zoe has responded. If you could respond to hotel Wi-Fi, are they also safe? Can we connect to that as well? Good and nice one, really informative and exposing. Thank you. Okay, so I think I'll take a break and let Kelly respond to the question for the hotel Wi-Fi. And I'll get back to you.
Thanks, Kusai. I think Zoe has done a great job in explaining. So convenience is what people go for. And I too, sometimes, maybe because of the hotels that I visit and I trust to a certain extent, but then trust doesn't equal security. So what you can do when you don't have any other available means to connect to the internet and you're faced with using the hotel Wi-Fi, please ensure that you have your own security. Whatever website you visit, try and use a VPN connection. So I have a paid VPN application that I use whenever I'm traveling. Okay, I turn my VPN on. So what that means is all communications from my phone or my laptop goes through the VPN. And ensure you have antivirus software installed. Should there be a hack on your phone or your laptops, just ensure that you have that antivirus and then that your system or your phone is up to date. So what happens is your antivirus regularly updates itself with current threat, using current threats. So today there could be a virus out there in the web. What your favorite antivirus software companies do is that they learn from these viruses and they add updates as well to their own antivirus. So if you don't have the recent updates, then what happens? You might have an antivirus, but it's not effective because it has not updated itself, right? So have all those personal security in place. And for convenience, if you have no other choice but to use a hotel Wi-Fi, you can go on and do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kelly. I think a question just came in now. Are there also disadvantages of using free VPNs too?
Yes, a lot of disadvantages. It's just like using free software, right? So free software means that someone or a company has a software that they're not collecting money for. And when someone is not collecting money for something, so what are the objectives, right? Do you get? So they are not benefiting, right? So that means probably they are not spending as much time as possible to update that software, right? And there could also be other motives, right? I have seen VPNs that have been linked with state, actors, in China, Russia, and all of that. And even applications, I'm sorry to say to you all, people TikTok it's not a VPN, it's a social media app. But the truth of the matter is, we have looked into TikTok and the security behind TikTok. And I can, tell you for free that when it comes to security, they are not the best out there, because a lot of your information are there in clear text. And it goes back to China, right? Who owns the company? And, the same thing with VPN. So when you use free VPNs, you're not sure what their objective or what their interests are, whether they have people behind them sponsoring them, or whether they've committed a lot of resources into making sure that the VPN is actually secure. So I will advise against them. Use a paid VPN and one from a reputed company. Okay.
Thank you very much, Kelly. And then I think we also have some feedback regarding some of the products for the bank. I would like the admin team to please drop the link. We have a feedback link. If you could please fill that, just provide us with your name, your phone number, and we can assure it's safe, your name, phone number, and then we would get back to you. We would assign experienced agent to get back to you and support you to resolve some of those issues. So I think I have one hand up, Kole Emmanuel. I think we can still take that, right, Kelly? I think we can just take the Kole Emmanuel. Sure. Okay, all right, thanks. You've been asked your meet. You can just go ahead and ask your questions, or you can also drop it in the chat box as well. And can we also have the link, the feedback link in the chat box? Thank you very much. Well done, Mr. Kelly. Which of this is less prone to attack, the LAN or the wireless connection?
It's a simple answer. The LAN is better, right? Because the attack surfaces are limited, right? So you will take someone to physically plug in for the person to actually hack you or compromise you. But wireless, it's wireless. I just need to be somewhere outside your building. And if I have good adapters, I can, try to masquerade, or what you call man-in-the-middle attack. Man-in-the-middle attack is that I will be in the middle. So whatever attack, whatever communication you're sending to your service provider, I'll be in the middle to eavesdrop on that communication. So LAN is better. I can also see a question that talks about recommendations.
Yeah, please go ahead.
For VPN. So I don't think it's right for me to sell any solution out there. But if you do a Google search to, the best VPNs out there, I'm sure you will see lists, so many lists from reputed companies like CNET and all that, who have committed a lot of resources to, to reviewing those VPNs. Personally, I use NordVPN, but that's a personal preference, and I use it across all my devices, and it's paid for. Okay. Someone else has asked also about IDS and IPS. IDS and IPS are for businesses, so I don't have a personal one. Again, same answer that I gave. I think it's best to go online and Google, and you will get reviews from companies that have committed resources or have done a lot of good job in the past to review them. Okay, but there are very good ones out there. I mean, there are a lot of good ones out there. But the truth of the matter is, irrespective of how good or sophisticated these technologies are, cyber breach will always occur. I'll give you a typical instance. Microsoft, as we know, is a company that has been breached many times and currently still being breached. Irrespective of the resources, the money that they have, the people, the brains that they have. Okay, there is something they call zero-day attacks that are out there that the vendors or the technology or the service providers don't know of. Okay, and they cost a lot of money. People are willing to pay huge sums of money for zero-day exploits. Okay, so if you go in the news and go and search of attacks that has happened on all these big organizations, there are a lot of them. So regardless of the IPS or the IDS you use, a day will come when potentially they might be hacked. But like I said, still do your due diligence, ensure that you're using one from a reputed firm, and also understand that security has different layers. So as you're using your IDS and your IPS, also look at endpoint protection so that when your network, maybe your IDS or your IPS does not do a good job, your endpoint protection is there to protect the endpoint devices, okay?
Thank you very much, Kelly. Just to remind all of us, we have, I think, quick 3 or 5 questions just to get our feedback regarding the session, and also provide us with information as to what we can do and how we can improve this next time. So there's just about 5 questions. Just scroll, it's on your screen, just pick your preferred answer. I think we've actually captured all the questions, and therefore for the very specific issues or challenges regarding the products of the bank, please fill the feedback form, and then we would ask the service team to get back to you on that. Thank you very much. Without further ado, thanks so much, Kelly, for joining. Okay, I think there's another one. So I think we'll do maybe like a few seconds just to take the final comments, questions, recommendations, and then I would like to invite to take the closing remark, Stephen Olalere, who is the Head Risk Control and Compliance of Action Microfinance Bank. So just few seconds, actually, just take some of those feedback, if there's still feedbacks, suggestions, and of course, questions, and then Stephen can have the floor. Thanks, Kelly. Endpoints are all protected. Kindly share contacts for follow-up. Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you, everyone. All right, Stephen, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hello, Visayo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Stephen.
Okay, great. Good afternoon. Sorry, good morning, everyone. It's been a very quite interactive session, and we like to thank our guest speaker, Mr. Kelly Ojude from Ernst & Young. And we also would like to deeply appreciate our MD CEO for his contribution for all the other participants, especially our customers, our SME customers, for whom we organized this particular session. And I believe we all have learned a lot from Mr. Kelly. We've learned so much about how we can protect our businesses from cyber security and cyber attack, and what are the strategies, what are the methods, what are the information that are vulnerable to cyber attackers. So Mr. Kelly has really dealt so much and so well with these topics. And I want to encourage our customers to keep this very close to our heart, such that we will be guided quite well with all these tips in the course of our daily businesses. Because the whole essence of this session is to ensure that we protect ourselves, protect our businesses, because much as we make money, we should also do well to protect our data, protect our businesses, our money, our fund, secure our password, our PIN, our mobile app, internet banking access information, your password, your PINs, your debit card, such that you will not be losing money, because we don't want you to lose money. We want you to continue to grow in your business so that we also will grow and as a partner. So thank you, Mr. Kelly, and thank you everyone who has participated. The attendance was quite impressive. At the point, I think we recorded about up to 200 attendees when I check the number of attendees on the screen. So we appreciate you, and we all commend your participation. And I also want to thank our coordinator, the person of Adefisayo Akisayo. Thanks so much, and all other staff members of Action You are all have done so well. So I'm going to hand over back to Adepisayo. So thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks for the kind words. And just before we officially close, I just want to say thank you. I think we saw some of our colleagues from, I think, Richway, Microfinance Bank, ZMAC, Midland, OSAC, Parkway, Sovereign Finance. If I missed your institution, apologies. No disrespect. I want to say hello to everyone. And of course, to our customers, like my colleague said, thank you so much. And then please follow us on social media. The bank is on all the apps. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, on Twitter, we're on TikTok as well. And then of course, we're on LinkedIn. So please follow us to have access to some of our events and webinars. You can get exclusive invites to some of these events. Thanks everyone for joining us. We do appreciate you. See you next time at the session. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. And if you still have any feedback or you have a specific product issue, please fill the link in the chat box and the team would engage you after this. Thank you everyone and have a lovely day. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Mrs. Gaba. Thank you very much for joining.
Family and friends and business partners on top your phone, wherever you are, whatever you do, hey, pay your bills and recharge your phone.
Action Bank Piano star 572 ash.
When you learn a corner, look at your I can SL Bank
Má ṣe ìyọnu láti lọ sí ilé ìfowópamọ́ ìwọ ṣáà ti tẹ *572# lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ rẹ.
Action Microfinance Bank. My future is bright.